Today's episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and MouseFan Travel, and, it's October, you know what that means. That's right, it's time to get really ready for MouseFest. I know that people like Scopa planned about 8 months ago, but for the rest of us, it's time to really evaluate planning for MouseFest, and MEI and MouseFan Travel can help you plan for MouseFest 2008 by helping you get your trip all taken care of. In fact, they can help you get that special group rate that's going on over at the Yacht Club. If you want more information about planning for MouseFest, give them a try. Visit them at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, October 15th, 2008, and this is episode 475 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. On the show today, we have Len Testa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome on.
How's it going, Matt?
Outstanding.
I think I've fully recovered from my food and wine indulgences. Hope you have too.
Yes. Also joining us is the old codger himself, Mike Scopa of allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
No, you're on a diet.
Stupid Judy.
Yep.
Oh, very good.
Wow, nice.
Most impressive. And joining us is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio.
Yay!
How are you, Mike?
Wow.
I still haven't gotten over from Food and Wine. Those snails and all that other icky stuff that we had to eat.
Snails, the snails.
Kind of crept up on you, huh, Mike?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's Wednesday. We're answering your listener questions, and we'll start out with Doug from South Carolina, who writes, "My gentle fellows and gal, if Ned is present. My family and I will be staying at Fort Wilderness Cabin from November 30th to December 6th. And I had a couple of questions. Would you guys suggest that ADRs made for Trails End for any of the times that we want to be there? I'm hoping that maybe we could just go over there for breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the spur of the moment and not necessarily have to make certain plans for our dining at the buffet."
It's good to make ADRs for breakfast and for dinner. I don't think you need to make ADRs for lunch at Trails End because there is nobody at Fort Wilderness during the middle of the day, but there are lots of people there during the morning and there are lots of people there at night. So I think the rule should be make your ADRs for breakfast and dinner, but you don't have to for lunch.
Yeah, I would also say add to that as your trip goes on, Doug, because his trip again is from November 30th to December 6th, the further away you get from Thanksgiving, I think the crowds will diminish a little bit, and that'll give you an advantage in that not having to worry about that. But if you think you might have a time that's going to work based on your current plans, it doesn't hurt to make an ADR. So if you can, definitely make that. If not, I understand. Next, Doug also wants to know, since we'll be staying at the cabins, we will definitely be utilizing the full kitchen for most breakfasts and lunches. So do you recommend us, A, buying our groceries at one of the trading posts at Fort Wilderness? I'm not really sure if they carry a whole lot there. B, buying our groceries online and having them delivered, say, at the Garden Grocer, which I read was possible in the unofficial guide. Ding. There we go.
Yeah, that's right.
Or C, shipping down some non-perishables ourselves using FedEx or UPS. Or D, renting a car and going off-site for our grocery needs.
I like the idea of ordering the groceries. It's the least hassle.
Okay, makes sense. I like the D option, especially, Doug, if you're going to be coming in, like if your flight lands at like in the afternoon or evening, and you're obviously not enough time to really do anything in the parks, but it might give you a good incentive for those couple hours. When you're coming from the airport, rent that car, stop at a Publix somewhere, and pick that up, and that way you'll be good to go. But Len's option, like you said, I think that'll work also.
Yeah, I think so.
Doug adds, "Thanks a bunch. Your podcast is great, and I really enjoy listening 3 times a week. It keeps me in the Disney spirit and helps me look forward to our upcoming trip."
Woo.
Next email is from James Perez of Lake Ann, Michigan, who writes, "I need a little help for my trip in January 2009. The plan is to stay for 6 nights before, during, and after the marathon. My wife and I will be running the half marathon, and it'll be her first time. We'd like to stay at Saratoga Springs, and I'm wondering if I can get an annual pass discount over there. I've heard Len say that the break-even point for the annual pass is 3 to 4 nights in a deluxe and 6 to 7 in a moderate, etc. I'm having trouble understanding the math because of the 2 variables, park admission and room discount. I can get it with just 1 variable, not 2. Can you break it down a little bit further or let me know if the info is posted somewhere?"
So the 2 variables were park admission.
Park admission.
Right, and what was the other one?
And getting a discount at Saratoga Springs.
So the one way that we had eliminated the discount variable was by assuming that the average discount at a deluxe was like $96 a night, which I think is roughly the average that we had set. That's how we eliminate that variable. And then it goes down to length of stay. The one thing I would say is before you look at an annual pass, try AAA. a AAA membership if you have it, because a AAA membership is like $42
Mhm.
for one person, and you often get better deals on that. There's often AAA discounts available where there are not AP discounts available.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah, so I think that might be the least expensive way of doing that.
Great. James adds, my wife has come up with a new naming system for the resorts. She's noticed that the moderate resorts have plastic coffee mugs and the deluxe resorts have ceramic mugs. We've not stayed in the Valley Resort yet, and we're assuming they have styrofoam cups for their mugs or something like that. I have to speak.
That's classic. They do.
I have to speak to her in the following fashion. Coronado Springs is a plastic mug resort, and Animal Kingdom Lodge is a ceramic mug resort, and that is why it costs more to stay there.
That's great. That's
Very nice.
funny.
Next email is from Peggy from Henrietta, New York. He writes, hi, Matt. I send you wishes for many happy years of wedding bliss. We are tentatively set to come down November 10th to the 15th. I was disappointed to find out that the Osborne lights that usually are on this date are not starting this year until the day after Thanksgiving. Do you know why? Is that a correct date? Would it be worth changing my date until November 28th? Is it really a must-see once type of a thing? Do you get all the inside details of the studios relating to the dates? This is what I'm gonna say. The dates are correct, and they have been shifted from. They used to be, if anything, creeping up closer and closer to October, and from where they used to be, mid-November. Now it's right after Thanksgiving, and I suspect that it has to do with cost. That's my guess. I haven't heard any rationalization as to why from any other source. My guess was just that they want to cut down on cost, and as you might imagine, all those lights on for even just one night racks up quite a bill. And they decided to, I think, slide it back a little bit. As to if it's worth it, I think it's worth it. The lights are wonderful. If you've never seen it before, I would definitely recommend seeing that. It definitely is something you definitely want to see. The caveat to that, of course, if you're going down for Thanksgiving, is that you're going to be dealing with Thanksgiving crowds, and obviously your trip in early November is going to be a lot less crowds going there. Len, what would you, from a crowd standpoint, purely that? Let's take out the Osborne lights here for a moment. Would you say that how much of a difference are you going to see from November 10th to 15th versus Thanksgiving weekend?
You will actually see a pretty decent difference. The November 10th through the 15th, you're looking at an average of about 5 on the crowd calendar. Week after Thanksgiving, you're looking at an average of about 6.5. Obviously, around Thanksgiving it's going to be 7s. So yeah, it's going to be a 15 or 20 minute incremental peak wait time at the attractions. It would be noticeable, yes.
Yeah. So it's up to you, really, what you want to do, Peggy. If it's worth it, if you really want to see the lights and you're okay with the crowds, I would do it. I mean, the lights are really cool. It is very nice. It really adds, I think, to the whole aura of it and gives you something else to do at night. And I would definitely see it if you have never seen it before. Next email is from Sharon Barlick of Stockton, California. Writes, a friend and I will be going to Walt Disney World on March 6, 2009, staying at the All-Star Movie Resort. We'll be staying for 14 nights. Any idea how crowds will be then, Nat? Do you think that the dining plan would be a good idea for us? We are very excited and haven't been to Walt Disney World since 1980, but we love Disneyland. So, Len, March 6th, how do the crowds look in the first couple weeks in March?
March 6th. Actually, it's not bad. It doesn't start picking up till mid-March. So first week of March, a little bit below average. Sorry, the first week of that trip, below average. Really, things start picking up into the 8s around that Saturday, March 14th. And then right around then, too, you've got the Flower and Garden Festival beginning on the 18th. Things are gonna pick up then.
Absolutely. Scopa, do you want to quickly answer her question about, people often ask, is the dining plan a good idea? And I think you always have a pretty good answer to that in terms of making reservations.
Yeah, it's basically that you should hold off on committing to the dining plan until you have been able to make ADRs for the restaurants that you want to go to, and that you understand that you also need to keep in mind that you're paying for, even though the dining plan is a good deal, there are many people who end up on that last day and they still have some quick service credits to go. So number one, you make sure that you have ADRs in place for the restaurants that you want to go to before you commit to the dining plan. And you also make time for those quick service meals because you really want to make use of everything that you're paying for.
Next email is from Ashley from Chesapeake, Virginia. Writes, hey there, my husband's coworker just came back from the world where after talking to a DVC tour, she was told by the manager that it was 90% confirmed that a new theme park for villains was going to be constructed where the current TTC is located. Can any of you confirm that rumor? Ashley?
Where the TTC is located?
Yeah. Ashley, in a word, no.
No. Yeah.
No, it's not happening ever. I should say ever, but it's not happening. Unfortunately, they heard wrong. So, there's no way you can even contemplate. No, it's not happening. Next email is from Shelley from Watertown, Massachusetts. Writes, "Hi, Matt, Mike, Len, and the ever-cheerful Annette. My husband and I had just finished listening to our most recent show, and despite some good points against moving, still are very considering the idea of moving to Walt Disney World, or Orlando for that matter. We're both vision impaired, so there are additional challenges that we need to deal with, but there still seems to be more positives than negatives, so we continue to press forward with the idea. I was laid off from my job at First Marblehead Education Resources here in Massachusetts back on May 6th, and I'm looking to move my client services career into a more stable field than student loans and finance. My husband does small computer programming contracts, and we'll both have Social Security disability insurance income to keep us afloat. Once my claim is processed, that is. We have no kids, just a 13-year-old diabetic kitty. Most of us would prefer, yes, even the hot weather, to the horrible snow-filled icy winters in Massachusetts. I submitted my resume online, and hopefully things will work out for you, though. A few questions, though, that remain unanswered that you, Matt Hochberg, may have some insight on. Where are good neighborhoods to live in? By this I mean covered by Lynx Transportation, are pedestrian-friendly, have sidewalks for a leisurely stroll or lead to areas where there is grocery, shopping, pharmacy, etc. Neither of us can drive. This is a good question. Obviously, when I was looking where I wanted to live, being able to be covered by Lynx, the local bus system here in Orlando, wasn't a big concern of mine. I will tell you that some great areas are Hunters Creek, which is to the south and east of Walt Disney World. And Scopy, you actually have a friend who's had similar concerns about. She's looking to move to Florida also. Did she mention any areas that she was eyeballing based on her concerns? Because both your friend and this emailer, Shelley, both are interested in Lynx Transportation, which I know was important to your friend as well.
I think that Hunters Creek was at, I don't want to say at the top of her list, but I do remember her mentioning Hunters Creek. And one of the things that she was looking for was, she doesn't drive. She was looking for those places that were along bus routes. But while she was down there, she also heard, and I don't know the details, this would be something that someone else would have to check, but anyone who has been given the approval to be, I don't want to say, anyone who is on disability can check with Lynx or somebody down there, and they can get some kind of a voucher that will allow them taxi cab rides to anywhere in Orlando for just $3.
Wow.
And what that does is that opens up all kinds of possibilities, because then you're not limited to looking for places to live at where only the bus lines go to. So that would be something that, and I don't know where to go, where to look, but I know that was on her list of things to do as well, because that, again, would open up more possibilities as to where she could live.
Well, Mike, if you find that information, be sure to post it on the show notes between now and when this episode gets posted. Shelley also wants to add, our research indicates that we'd probably be able to afford an apartment for about $1,100 a month, but we prefer it to be a standalone townhome or even renting a house, although this might be dreaming a bit too much. Being that we're both vision impaired, home ownership seems a bit daunting, to say nothing of the economy right now and its effects on the housing market. I'm sure that there are many questions, but this letter would turn into a dissertation. Oh, and being young and getting closer to a dream is not stupid. Sometimes a little risk is worth it considering the rewards. And Shelley, I'll just add regarding trying to find housing down here. The good news is if you're in the buying market, it is a great time to buy, because right now people are desperate to get rid of houses. I mean, the housing market is so bad for sellers that it's great if you're a buyer. So it might actually work out to your advantage, especially from when you last wrote this email. So good luck in that, definitely. Next email is from Jenny from a county of Kent in England. I'm a new listener and a big fan, and I'm already working through all the past episodes. I was wondering, how do you make the episodes and how you all met and came up with the idea of doing a podcast? From what I understand, you all live in different parts of the United States, but you sound like you're all in one room. Thank you in advance for answering my question and keep up the good work. Well, I'll let Newell answer the question about how technically we do this, but in terms of how we met and how we came up with the idea, I'll actually direct you, Jenny, to the WDW Today wiki. Check the show notes, and I'll put a link in there right so I can answer that part of the question. But Newell, do you want to quickly kind of mention some of the technologies that we use to record the show?
It's real basic. We use Skype to get the four of us together. Like Matt said, I'm in New York. Scopa's up in New Hampshire. Len is in North Carolina, and Matt's down in Orlando. So that the four of us get together, on this voice over IP software called Skype, and basically we record it from there. And after they hang up, I go to work and I edit the show, post it, and there you go.
Great. Next email is from Chloe Donnell of Chicago, Illinois. Who writes, "Hey guys, my mom listens to your podcast every week at dinner time. Well, you probably are thinking, my mom, well, I'm a kid listening to your podcast. Well, I came up with an idea of making my own podcast from a kid's perspective of Walt Disney World. But I'm not big on podcasting itself. So I was wondering if you have any idea of how I could get it started and the recommendations. Thanks, love the podcast." Chloe, good luck with the show idea. I think you might find some people. Clearly, there are no that I can think of any shows that are from a kid's perspective. Best thing I can tell you is there's a lot of great software out there. Recording a podcast is easy. I think the hardest part is going to be for you to keep with it. Be consistent. Keep it going. Doesn't matter if you don't get any emails in. Just keep it going. Be consistent, and people will join your show. So good luck with that, and let us know what you come up with. Next email is from Josh Hopkins of Atlanta, Georgia. Writes, "Hey guys and guest, I wrote you guys a few weeks ago regarding Coronado to Boardwalk upgrade for $100 and answered Scopus questions regarding the length of stay. It was only for 4 nights. We went, didn't attend the studios on the weekends during Star Wars weekends, but we did go during the week, and Toy Story was awesome. The wait on the days we went exceeded 150 minutes. Wow.
Yeah.
We did luck out on getting the Dream Fast Pass at One Man's Dream, and we received Dream Mouse Ears at the Jungle Trek at Animal Kingdom. I caught up on the podcast now that I'm back. Still love the show, and the unofficial guide was awesome. Just a few things I have questions about. Is anyone on the team a DVC member? We signed up while we were down there, and we were able to use the points right away with the deal they made for us using Saratoga as our home resort. What is the opinion of DVC, and have you used it outside of Disney property to some of the collection resorts?" Well, Mike Newell, you're the resident DVC owner. Annette is also, but Annette's on online. Mike, have you ever – I think you generally have a good opinion of DVC, but have you ever tried using your points at one of the collection resorts?
No. The only time I ever stayed outside of a DVC resort is I used points one time for a last-minute trip, and I stayed at Caribbean Beach. That was the only time I've ever used points for a non-DVC resort.
Okay, fair enough. I'll recommend you, Josh, over to a friend of ours, dvcnews.com. The same might be news, but they have a great community over there to help you answer, perhaps if you're looking for specific resorts, they might be able to be a good resource for you. Josh also wants to know, we were on our honeymoon and wore the buttons at the park and on the cruise, and the response was awesome. We were very well taken care of. And at Epcot, at the American Adventures Pavilion, one cast member saw the buttons, told us to go upstairs, and as the Voices of Liberty were about to begin, they gave us a shout-out, which was really cool. I highly suggest it if someone goes there on their honeymoon. I did it. I also went there on my honeymoon to Walt Disney World for a few days with our buttons on, and you do get a lot of recognition. Besides dining, you usually get like free cake, but when you're in the parks, I mean, you get a lot of recognition from a lot of people, and it really is very nice to have that. So I definitely recommend anyone who goes on to Walt Disney World on their honeymoon to wear the buttons. You get them for free. You just go to City Hall or Guest Relations at any of the parks and pick one up. They're free and put them on, and you never know what could happen. Josh also adds, is there any way to contact Disney for some needs improvement comments after the visit? I know at the parks it's their respective locations, but I have some suggestions regarding safety and avoidance of similar lawsuits that Disney is going through now with security and safety. You can actually email them. Guest Relations has an email, and they'll handle pretty much everything. It's like kind of an umbrella for any kind of concerns, and they kind of send it all out there. I'll put a link in the show notes to the actual email address, so thanks for those emails, Josh. Next email is from Brian Gratton, who writes, "Hey guys, I was listening to episode 414, Eating Around the World, while in the minivan with my 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and 8-month-old. Although by the time you get this email, they'll be 17, 16, and 14. Nice. Anyway, I was laughing out loud, and my kids kept asking, why are you laughing, Daddy? How do you explain to a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and an 8-month-old that 3 grown men and a grown woman tried to eat too much food in 2 hours, and one of the grown men had to gag himself in a bathroom at Disney? Needless to say, they're still confused."
We're confused.
I think that's exactly how I would say it, except for the grown man trying to gag himself in the bathroom thing. Other than that,
Brian adds, on to the question. We're trying to make ADRs for our upcoming trip December 12th to the 20th, 2008, and we couldn't get any ADRs where we want to sit 12 people together, my family, my parents, and in-laws. We're heading back to the world for October 2009. Any suggestions on where to eat for 12 people? The reservationist kept telling us that to try to sit at separate tables. She said that the restaurant would try to seat us at the same table or corresponding tables. Any advice?
Yeah, 12 is tough. I mean, Beer Garden, Morocco.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I would say Tepanito, but I think their table, I think they only seat 8 at one table. So yes,
yeah.
That'd be a problem for you.
We did 12 at Trails End.
Yeah, Trails End is shoe-in for sure.
Tusker House, you might be able. The way that they have the tables arranged there, you probably could get a table for 12 there.
You might be able to do Nine Dragons as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Ohana,
I guess
too.
that's a good point, Newell. With the exception of Ohana, we're also targeting kind of restaurants that have a little less demand, a lot of capacity. So that's going to be kind of a trend you're going to be seeing over here. Because obviously the higher the demand the restaurant, it's going to be very hard, because especially for Party of 12, they have very few tables allocated for that size of a group. So it may be a little more difficult for you to find that kind of seating, but it is possible. And that the best thing you're doing, Brian, is booking your reservations well in advance, and you're going to be right on that 180 mark, and I think you're going to find some great success with that. So good luck, bro. Next email is from somebody who didn't put their name on here. Hello, Matt, Mike, Len, and guest, if applicable. On your July 4th show, you talked about moving to the Magic, and it is something that I've always wanted to do. I finally convinced my wife to go and was wondering if you can help me with something. I've always been trying to find out how to apply to become an Imagineer. I'm under the impression that they employ architects, which is great, as that's what I am. I have not been able to find much more information on it, though, and was wondering if you guys might be able to give me some info on that and what it would take to apply and how. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Scope, have you heard anything about this?
Well, one thing I want to comment is it's really important to make sure that you have a job when you move down there. You don't just want to go down there without anything. Imagineer. I haven't heard anything regarding any avenues to get into the Imagineering. It's something that I think a lot of people just fall into. I think that there are obviously some background skill sets that you need to have. I think engineering, some type of an engineering background is good to have. Being creative, being imaginative. But I don't know what avenue I would take if I was going to look for an Imagineering job.
Yeah, I mean, they look for a lot of experience, I think, and it's very difficult. Definitely a very difficult avenue to approach. And I would definitely, like Mike said, kind of go down there with the assumption of getting another position in, an architect field, and keep your eye out for any kind of openings, network if you can, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, Matt, that the best way to get an Imagineering job at Walt Disney World is to first get a job at Walt Disney World, and the internal transfer is going to be the easy way to do it. It's not going to be easy to just go from a non-Disney employee to a Disney Imagineer.
That's right. Newell, remember our good friend Timmy Britt, who we had on the show a little while ago? He worked at the studios for a long time, and now he works in the Imagineer office.
Right. Yeah, I always heard that they hire those positions. They hire first from within.
Yeah.
And then they fill from outside sources. But it like Mike said, it's probably a better shot if you're already working in the company.
Next email is from Edmund, who writes, "Howdy, Matt, Mike, Len. Hate the show." Actually, just kidding. I'm just trying to make my email float to the top of the huge piles of email. Here's my question, though. Frequently, you threw out results of a break-even analysis you've done. For example, when does it make sense to buy an annual pass or use the room discount, or when the dining plan makes sense? Are there calculators or spreadsheets available that would help Disney number geeks to help plan our trips?
Yeah, man, I can send you the spreadsheet that I have. You can post it online. It's in Excel.
Okay, I'll post it on there for $5 each, and you can. Just $5. Yeah, that's right. I'll charge. Now
$4.95. Yeah, that's
right. Now we'll post it on there, and you can go to town with that. Just please don't bring down your local government's internet infrastructure like Len did one time.
Oopsie.
Next email's from Darib Pruitt, who writes, "I agree with most of what you guys say on your show, except when you got to strollers. I have an 18, 14, an 11-year-old, 2-year-old kids that I find that people pay about as much respect and attention to strollers and kids as they do motorcycles on the road. I know some strollers are used as steamrollers, but I think most parents are making you aware a child is present. I can't count the number of times over the years someone has crossed in front of or fallen over my kids because they were not paying attention. And another issue. People who are walking along and just stop. You should treat the walkways as roads and pull over. All too often, we're in the park and walking behind someone in groups and they just stop, thus causing people to run into each other's.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah, the strollers never really bothered me. Some people really get behind it, but the stopping right in the middle of the path, that really gets to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, absolutely.
Now I know what to do next trip.
Next email is from Jen Newberger. Writes, my parents took my preschool daughter to Walt Disney World. They had a fantastic time. On Sunday, July 6th, they marched into a family fun day parade, and cast members took photos. We're interested in purchasing and getting these photos. However, they had to leave the park before the photos were ready on Sunday. Is there any way we can get these photos since we won't be returning to the Magic Kingdom anytime soon?
Yeah, call back and ask.
You can call. I mean, unfortunately, by the time we answered this one, might be a little too late, but I would definitely call or email guest relations. Again, that email that I mentioned earlier, and hopefully someone will be able to get back to you on that one. Next email is from Steven from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Right, so guys, love the show. What is the music playing in front of Pirates? I went to iTunes and I did not recognize it as anything from the movies. Any idea?
It's the one in front of Pirates. No, it's definitely from the. I think it's from the first one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the. I think it's the track called "He's a Pirate."
Oh, maybe so. Yeah.
I thought that was the one. It's that sweeping music they use in all three films. I don't even want to pretend to try to hum it for you. I'll put a link in the show notes if I can to somewhere that has it. Newell, do you have any clue?
I never stay in front of it very long to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, they used to have that classic music they had in front over there, but when they did that rehab that added, Jack Sparrow and Barbossa and all that, they radically added a lot of different new music. They took away the bird that used to be out in front over there. That's actually now at Downtown Disney, and all those kinds of things. So, anyway, next email is from Jared from North Carolina. Writes, what's the absolute cheapest way to dine while staying out at a Disney World hotel, not using the dining plan, and not staying on Walt Disney World property?
Not staying on Disney World property and not...
What's the cheapest way to dine while staying... They put a Walt Disney World hotel, but then they say not staying... Oh, and staying on... Not using the dining plan and staying on Walt Disney World property. Okay, staying on Disney World property, at a Disney hotel, but not using the dining plan. What's the cheapest way?
So, I mean, it obviously it's counter service restaurants, but it's also, buying the less expensive kinds of food there. Things like bagels rather than sandwiches, individual bulk items rather than, complete meals, things like that. That's probably the way to go. Soups, I think, are generally less expensive.
Yeah, I agree. I would also add restaurants that are cheap. I mean, Trails End, we talk a lot about it, but it is a tremendous value. So you definitely want to consider that as an option for sure. Well, we've got time for one last question, and I'm going to pose it to Mr. Newell here. So, Mike, you're going to have to pick the last one over here. And let's see here. What are our options? I want to find some good ones here. There's that one. And okay. So, Newell, you ready for this?
Hit me, baby.
All right. This is going to be a tough one. I'm going to admit this ahead of time.
Okay.
First question is booze, booze, booze. A question for Len. Newell, I can make Matt disappear again.
Oh.
Or places to sleep.
What's it worth to you, Len?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's fine.
All right, let's go with I can make Matt disappear for 200.
Yes.
Ooh, good one.
You're such a sucker. When they put your name in the email, really.
Yeah,
That's not that.
Yeah.
I want to hear how someone can make you disappear.
Disappear over the falls.
Norway. Very nice.
Thank you.
Our final email today comes from Brandon Tucker, who's known as Dr. Ravenscraft. Hoorah! I have a question about the tax structure on property. I noticed that the taxes at Walt Disney World resorts is 13%, when at all other resorts the tax is 12.5%. Does anyone know why?
Different county.
Two different counties, yeah.
Yeah, Osceola County and Orange County. Anyway, yeah. Well, Brandon adds, okay, if you want to know how to get rid of Matt, it's simple.
Yes.
You ready for this, Newell?
Wait, hold on. Let me get a pen. Okay.
Hold on.
Hold on. We got to record this. Okay.
Record this one.
Wait for his 5th anniversary with his wife. He will go on another long vacation, and you will be rid of him. If that doesn't work for you, I guess you could always take him drinking around the world while in an inebriated state, convince him that he's allowed to watch Illuminations from an ultra VIP seat on a boat in the lagoon. As you make your way to the boat, Matt might notice several large black cylinders on this boat, but you'll reassure him that all is well. These were just there to store the excess beer. You will take Matt over to a seat, and you say to him, you might be noticing that all the straps, Matt, says Newell. I like how he put Newell in here. That is just so that you can't fall out of the boat, and it's Disney's way of not getting sued. After Matt is secured in a seat with the 9 locking straps, ball gag, to which he is familiar, and head restraint, you tell Matt, I forgot my hat. Yeah, that's it. I forgot my hat. I'll be right back. As your transport guns it away from the boat, and heads for land. When on land, you meet up with Len, Testa, Mike Scopa, and of course the fabulous Annette Owens of MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Do I got my $5 now? Anywho, the four of you sit back and watch eliminations and wait for the finale. That's when Matt's boat does its thing. Matt, welcome to the fire barge. Then, of course, you four will be free of the tyrannical dictatorship you've been dealing with for several years now.
Wow.
Well, first you're going to get to 5 years. It's like the Robin Williams thing. Let me tell you how to make $10 million. First, you get $1 million, and then So you got to get to 5 years first.
Great. We have to wait 5 years for that.
I was hoping for something sooner, but whatever. That's fine.
Don't forget that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And if you're planning your trip to Walt Disney World and want to help plan a very economical trip, you're trying to make it easy on the pockets and you want to have help in terms of picking restaurants that are going to make it very economical for you, definitely have the great travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel help you plan your next trip. They're the official travel agency of WDW Today, so give them a try. Visit them online at www.mousefantravel.com. Anyway, that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes or send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
5 years. I may not even be alive in 5 years.
Yeah, really.
He's like, yeah, really?
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.